Well, it all started last year. We were invited over by the Isle of Man government to take back Ernie Lyons's winning prototype Manx Grand Prix bike. It was a 70-year anniversary, and we also took back 5 other Grand Prix from history on the island. And Steve rode Uno Ranch's Mark I Grand Prix in the special parade that we'd done.
My first thought of the bike was when I saw it in Dick Shepherd's awning. There was 6 of them all lined up there. As soon as I arrived at the Isle of Man, I was working there for ITV4 covering the races. And yeah, they just looked like a motorbike should be built, and they looked so expensive, and I knew I was going to get to ride one, even the number 6, which was the bike, the number that I always raced with. And I kept thinking, I can't believe these are going to go out on the track, because they look just so good. They were absolutely like they were brand new, come out of the factory. And I couldn't imagine how much they were worth. And someone was going to, well, Dick was going to let me ride it around, and John McGuinness was going to be on one, and there was all sorts of people. And we were going to actually ride them the last part of the TT course. So it was quite a special occasion, really. And just thinking back, what it must have been like to have been riding bikes like that back in the days when they were raced. I mean, the track was in terrible condition. There was no safety aspect to it. And arguably, by modern day standards, the brakes weren't very good and the suspension wasn't very good. And it was just a real treat to ride something of that ilk that had raced around the TT so many years ago and had been rebuilt into such a high standard. It was extraordinary, yeah, quite surprised. Normally people don't let me ride things like that.
We decided to enter a modern Thruxton R in the parade on Monday. And anyway, Steve was on just a normal road bike, and we entered it in this parade, and I was waiting in the winning enclosure for the riders to come back, and when I looked over, Steve's come in 6th, and we worked out that Steve had lapped the island at 109 mile an hour on a road-going bike. Absolutely amazing achievement, you know.
So I stopped racing at the TT in 1986, so we're talking 30 odd years ago. And I've done the odd parade around there. And I have to tell, for anyone that's never had a chance to do it, and not many people do get a chance to do it, having the 37.75 mile course of the Isle of Man closed for you to go and have fun out there on a motorcycle really seems quite illegal. Obviously, if you're in a race, it's normal, but to be able to get on a bike and just go round as fast as you like, there's no one saying slow down, do this, just watch the cameras and watch the traffic lights, you can do what you like. And I hadn't organised a bike, but I had a call from Dick Shepherd saying, look, we're going to have a brand new Thruxton straight out of the factory out there. Do you fancy using that for the parade? And to start with, I'm thinking, well, it doesn't sound hugely exciting, but boy, am I pleased I chose that bike, because it did everything I wanted a motorcycle to do around the course. And as I mentioned before, 30 odd years ago, when I got a 3rd at the TT, I was riding something like an FZ 750 Yamaha, which was a race bike, converted to a race bike. The bike out the production line here at Triumph was better. It had better brakes, it handled better. Performance-wise was phenomenal. The only thing I wished it revved a bit higher, or it got higher gearing, because I kept hitting the rev limiter, but it was such a treat to ride something that was comfortable, had lights, indicators, mirrors and everything else on it. And there was I going around racing against guys on proper race bikes, like the John McGuinnesses and people like that. Philip McCallum were on period classic bikes. Now let me just put this straight, it wasn't a race, it was a parade, but put a race guy on a motorbike round a circuit like the TT, then it becomes a race.
Absolutely no work had been done on the bike at all we done, I picked the bikes up at the factory. There was 2 bikes that Triumphs had prepared for the classic TT, just commemorative bikes, i.e. they'd done some special paint jobs on the bikes. One had a chrome tank and one had a painted tank to commemorate the Mark I Grand Prix and the Mark II Grand Prix. And just little bits and pieces. We'd put the little Grand Prix Triumph logo badge on the crankcase, silly little things like that. The bikes had no fairing, even the suspension was just as it came from the factory. All we'd done was put air in the tyres, fuel in the tank, and as I said, you know, Steve came in at that sort of speed and I was just absolutely amazed.
I was very surprised, and I think that's testament to how technology has moved on over the years. It's testament to how good a bike like the Thruxton is. And you know, let's be quite truthful, it's not a full-out race bike like a lot of the modern superbikes are. It's something that anyone can ride. It's got so much torque, so much tractability, yet it still was quite happy doing 140 mile an hour for a long, long way around the course, because there's so many long straights around there. And it was a real treat because, as I say, some of the guys on purpose-built race bikes had more top speed, but around the corners and on the braking, the old Thruxton did the job. So did the old boy riding it.
What was embarrassing for the Isle of Man government, all the riders went on the winning enclosure with their bikes. When I went to push our bike on the winning enclosure, they went, "Dick, you can't put that on there. It's a road bike. It's got indicators and lights on." So they wouldn't let me put it on the winning enclosure. I have decided to never really grow up. What's the point? While you can still do things that you used to do, you never take the racer out of a racer. And it's such a dream to get on a great motorcycle and ride that beautiful course. The sun was shining. There was also thousands and thousands of people on the course waiting for the main races that one had been before and one after. And there was us lot charging around like silly old fools, but really, really enjoying it and riding a wonderful modern machine that people can go to the showroom, buy that bike, and they can go around a racetrack, they can go down the pub on it, and they can go for a nice Sunday afternoon ride, or they can commute on it. It's got absolutely everything.